Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Villain Viber podcast. Today, we have a very, 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 very special treat. Oh my God, I'm so excited because I am a certified Malachi minion, and we have the one and only Malachi in the studio with us today. So, everyone, give it up. I will let him introduce himself, but first, I do have a very special co-host with me today, and I will let him introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elk. I'm also one of the hosts here at the podcast, and today we'll be interviewing Malachi. So over to you, Malachi. Take it away.
Hey, what's up? Yep, I'm the villain of the season, which is it made sense, going into it. But yeah, made it pretty far into the game. Didn't make it to the final tribal council, unfortunately. But I did have a lot of fun. So you guys did a really good job on hosting the game. You guys should be proud of yourselves because that was really fun. And yeah, I'll let you guys ask some questions to me. Yeah, let's get this rolling.
Well, thank you so much for the compliments. Also, I forgot to say it, but I'm Ashley. In case anyone doesn't know, I don't know why you wouldn't know, but now you do. So anyway, let's get started. So the question that I always start interviews with is very basic. Just give us an overview of your game. You can be as thorough or as vague as you'd like.
All right, so going into the game, this sounds kind of dumb. I didn't per se have a plan. I did, but I didn't. Obviously, the plan is to not get voted off. Just communicate with your tribe mates and just make sure you have the numbers on your side. But then a twist was added where you had a partner, and a lot of people were kind of mixed on that twist. Whether this is a great thing, this is a bad thing. For me, it was a little mixed. I had to talk with my partner more, which was Joey, and yeah, obviously, as you guys know, the first tribal council, I blindsided him. I just simply voted him off. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I just didn't see him helping my game. I did not care about the whole partner thing. It did not matter to me. When I signed up for this, I wanted to win, not me and my partner. I wanted to win. So at the first tribal council, this is where stuff got a little confusing. So I remember if you got like I think it was the 4 teams with the lowest score. You get sent to tribal immediately. Me and Joey had the lowest score of anyone. Kind of sucked, but it is what it is. So we get sent to tribal, and then everyone's talking to me, and then I'm a little nervous, but I'm calm at the same time. And let's just say one thing led to another. I realized that Joey wasn't really giving me much, even though he was my partner. And I was like, well, this is kind of turning into a stalemate because you know, basically, no one wants to vote off each other's partner, right? Except for me. So I'm like, okay, well, how about I vote off my partner to advance myself in the game? Kind of crazy, Getting rid of someone who's technically, because basically you could talk with your partner, if you were on your tribe, which is actually extremely helpful. But I was like, screw that. If I vote my partner off now, going forward, people are going to align myself with me, which is what happened in the game, to be fair. So I was like, okay, how do I get away scot-free with voting my partner off, but without seeing as overplaying? I was like, okay, let me just analyze all these people, and there was this one person named Syphacon, and everyone kind of thought he was overplaying, and so I kind of talked to him the most because honestly, I really liked him. I really did enjoy Syphacon's presence. I think that was Chip's partner. Yeah, I'm right. Okay. I really did enjoy his presence, so I just kept talking and talking. And I just straight up said, hey, Syphacon, this is going to turn to a stalemate. And honestly, I'm completely fine with voting off my partner. Um, and he was like, oh. And then, yeah. So me and Syphacon, we kind of rallied the votes against Joey. And then I just blamed it all on Syphacon. So, I wouldn't get a vote that tribal. Kind of crazy, but it was very fun. So I kind of just had all the blame pushed on Syphacon, he's overplaying, and he wasn't actually, interestingly enough, I don't even think he was overplaying. I just kind of pushed the blame to him a little bit, and then everyone was like, "Oh man, this guy's throwing out 3 names, 2 names. I'm getting a little sketched out. Maybe we should blindside Syphacon." I'm like, "No, it's fine. We'll vote off Joey," and that's what happened, 7-1. And then, you know, throughout the game, a lot of people just aligned a lot of people wanted me as a number, which was great because I was partnerless, you know? So I could be a trio with anyone, whether that be Tig and Ellie, Gold and Ginger Snap. That didn't really happen because I voted him off of Final 12. Zap and Izzy, you know, a lot of people. So it actually did really help me going forward into the game. And I was kind of just weaseling my way through the votes. And yeah, I will not lie. I already know that like I was pretty much invisible. I wanna talk about that as well. But you guys are probably gonna ask me questions about that anyway. But yeah, so I was kind of playing an under the radar game, and I want to play with the bigger threats moving forward in the merge because in my pre-merge I got voted for I think 4 or 3 times. I think 4. I think I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, I'm right. Yeah, so I got voted for 4 times, so I kind of want to play somewhat under the radar, which I didn't even want to do at first, but the big threats were actually gonna gun gun for each other anyway, like Zap and Izzy versus Tiganelli. Like they were just gunning for each other. I kind of gravitated towards Tiganelli more because I liked them better, and that's where majority was. And yeah, so I had a pretty decent spot in the majority. I wasn't per se the most trusted, obviously. I wasn't the most trusted, but at the same time, even if you didn't trust me, you didn't really have a reason to get rid of me because I was just working with the threats. So, I mean, that's how I got so far. My strategy was working. And then I got outnumbered at the final four, and then you guys all know what happened with my little dead grandma lie. And that's how I got 4th place. And yeah, so if you guys want to ask me any questions about who I voted for, why I did what I did in certain rounds, stuff like that, go right ahead. But yeah, that's basically my game.
Okay, cool. You definitely gave us some insight into that. I have to say, I had no idea that you were the reason that Siphicon was branded as an overplayer. Like, I knew that Siphicon was branded as an overplayer, but I was like, what the hell? Like, why is this happening?
I was actually the first person to even say my partner's name. But I want to say it to Cypher because he trusted me, right? If I said to anyone else, people were like, ooh, Malachi wants to get rid of his partner. That's a little shady. And so I was like, okay, Cypher, he trusts me, and he isn't, let's see, not shady, but I know people were wary about him, so I kind of used that to my advantage and talked to him. Because I knew he was pretty strategic and very smart, and he was. And so I was like, hey, Cypher, really, honestly, it's cool. If you want to vote off Joey, it's completely fine. And that's cool. I really do hope I can work with you moving forward, which is actually what I wanted to happen, but he got voted off second after that. So yeah, so I kind of just shifted the blame towards Cypher a little bit, but I didn't want to make it obvious. And that's why I didn't really come out with any blood on my hands at that first tribal, except for Joey swearing me out, which is kind of funny. But yeah.
Yeah, Joey swearing you out was definitely
I just thought it was funny, so
right.
I mean, yeah.
It was the start of some many iconic moments from this season.
Yeah.
That's when we knew we were playing with, or we had a cast of characters. But speaking of Joey, I know that you did touch on this, but I have this question prepared, so I'll just go ahead and ask it. Can you go more in detail about the decision to vote off Joey? Like, how did you, and also, how do you think doing that impacted how people viewed you moving forward?
Okay, so actually, I kind of talked about this in my first video confessional, which you did not watch, but it's completely okay. You know what? You're okay. You're okay. So let me go back to my comps. Not my comps, but all right. So here's how it was structured. So here's why I got rid of Joey. So on Manhattan, we had Disc, right? Bronx, Chris, Cypher, and Joey. That's 3. Queens, Alex, Chip, and myself. On Brooklyn, it was Ricey. So technically, it would have led to a tie, logically speaking. But I didn't want that because that would just be stupid. It was the first vote of the season. Like, let's be frank. No one wants to vote off their partner except for me. Again, when I come into these games and orgs, I'm not like Zap and Izzy, where, no offense, I'm not like Zap and Izzy, we're like, yeah, I'll take you to the finals. No. When I play these, I promise you this, any decision I make, it's for me. I do not care about your game, and I don't care. So I'm like, oh well, Joey isn't really talking to me very much. Let's see, how do I get rid of Joey, but make it look like I didn't really want to get rid of Joey? Let's see. This guy's Saifukun. He's pretty smart and intelligent, but he seems a little frantic. Let me talk to him a little bit, see where his head's at. Oh, you're fine with getting rid of Joey? Oh, the Bronx team is caving in on themselves? Oh, that's great. Let me just tell Alex and Chip. That's when the alliance got no, Alex had the Queens alliance, the losing Queens alliance. So we had that to talk to them. So I was just like kind of discussing, hey, Joey's the vote. You guys, it's fine. It's completely okay. And again, the benefit, there are obviously pros and cons to this. First off, my obvious con is that this was actually before you guys revealed that there was going to be swaps every single episode. Um, I didn't have the luxury of talking to someone on the other tribe like the other people did. So going forward, I didn't have that luxury, which kind of sucked. But I didn't know that twist was going to happen anyway. Even if it was going to happen, I mean, I would have voted him off anyway. I mean, come on now. But yeah. So basically, I did it because I didn't want to stalemate. I highly doubt people would have gone to Rocks for the first vote. But at the same time, if you're dead weight to me, I mean, you gotta go. I mean, come on now. Like that sounded really vicious. I'm sorry, but you understand. But yeah, Joey, he wasn't even inactive. He was a little more drier, like a little more dry conversational wise between me and the other players, and I kind of used that to my advantage. And I let Cypher take all the heat for it, and I got away scot free with it. Well, except for getting sweared at, but I got away scot free with it. And yeah, so people were like, "Oh, Malachi's by himself. Let me just scoop him up for an ally," which is exactly what happened later on. So it benefited me perfectly. That was obviously the pro of voting him off. It is that moving forward, nobody would have thought I was like, dangerous in any way, shape, or form. People, if I just warm up to people, they'll use me as a vote or like an ally. And yeah, I'll have the numbers on my side in the merge, which is actually what happened. So, I mean, I did something right. So, yeah. But yeah,
I'm
go on.
I'm going to jump in for just a second, just to say that one of the big highlights this season watching you play was the video confessionals you did. I really, really enjoyed watching the way you would just like you lay things out, you'd write down like the names of the people who are at the tribal. Like it was very down to the facts. You would
Yeah.
always explain your strategic insights about like the current situation in the game, and you were really, really good at doing that. And it was really one of the great parts of this, like getting to watch your game was getting to see the way you laid things out in those video
Thank
confessionals.
you.
So I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
say that while you just touched on one of them.
Yeah. If you watch my video confessionals, Ashley, um, you can kind of see why I voted for who I voted for, and why I did what I did. With obviously, I got the award for the worst move of the season with the gold vote out, and
Mhm.
actually, you guys are probably gonna ask about that later. So, but yeah, you can see it's been archived, but you guys can still view it, of course. You can see why I voted for that person, how it impacted my game moving forward, and why I did what I did. So yeah, yeah, that's all I really have to say about the Joey situation.
Okay. What is really interesting to me about that is that, you mention that, okay, well, first of all, you said something, and I don't remember why it made me think of this, but people actually, after Joey, like, cursed you out, like, they were like, "Oh my gosh, poor Malachi." No.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was like,
so
poor Malachi. Oh, he's so cool. I want him as a number. Like, in fact, at the Ricey vote off, um, when Ricey was like, "Oh, we should do Malachi," Ricey gave you a peanut. Like, nobody wanted me to go. And so every single person, no joke, on my tribe told me they were targeting me and they would just simply vote him off. And I'm like, wow, my plan's actually working out a little well. And so I'm like, okay. All they said was just to stay calm and don't confront them, which is fine because I'm an actually pretty calm person. And I actually kind of trusted the people I was with. So with the Ricey vote, I think, let's see. It was Ricey, Ava, obviously Peanut. We had Saggy. I think Jack. We had Izzy, Sean, the two Seans, and I think myself and I think someone else. But yeah. And then the vote was 7-3. And I just knew I was a little nervous going into it because my neck's on the line, obviously. But I really had nothing to fear because why would anyone vote me off? I'm a low number, right? You could use me for votes later on, which is what happened. And on top of that, I'm pretty cool. I mean,
Of course.
no offense. No offense. People liked me over Ricey, hence why he got voted off at the final 20. I kind of used to my advantage that I was a lone wolf, that I really didn't have anyone, so I can have more alliances with people and just build better relationships. So, here's an example. So, AU Sean, dude, that guy's funny. I really like AU Sean. I can see why he's your favorite.
Yeah.
I can really see why. So he came to me with the singles club alliance, and this was AU Sean, myself, and EA Sean, and this was during the Ricey vote off, but that was before like we even lost a challenge. And then Izzy really liked me, didn't want me to go. Saggy liked me to an extent, didn't want me to go. Myself and Jack were working together pretty loosely, and if myself and Jack are working together, right, that means myself, Jack, and Saggy are working together pretty loosely. You see how my strategy kind of comes into play as the tribals go on? It's like nobody really wanted to get rid of me. Gold also liked me at the time, and so that's why Ricey got voted off and blindsided, and Ava and Peanut. Everyone was completely fine with leaving Ava and Peanut out of the vote. I was like, hey guys, if those three guys are coming for me, maybe we should leave them out of the vote. I mean, and they were like, okay. And I'm like, wait, what? I was a little confused by that because I thought, they would tell Ava and Peanut, but no, they actually left him out of the vote, and I just got away with it, 7-3. I mean, to be fair, it's not like it was my move. All I did was just like not do anything, and then everyone was just telling me who to vote. Not per se who to vote. I wanted Ricey out from the start because he was very, very shady. Very shady. He targeted me out of nowhere. No reason. No logical reason. And then he was like, I think Ava's saying you're... He didn't say this to me. He didn't even say anything to me during the entire thing. So that's strike one. And then people are telling me that Ava's saying that Malachi is the vote. But he didn't say that to me. Strike two. And then strike three is, everyone's just telling me that he's gunning for me. So at that point, I was like, okay, Ricey, you're a cool dude, and you're Alex's partner, because at the time I was still working with Alex. Unfortunately, I gotta vote you off because you're kind of targeting me, and that's how that happened. So yeah, that's how my strategy kind of developed more into a tribal sense, where no matter what tribal I really attended at the pre-merge, I was for sure safe based on my strategy of just going with people, like being a third in their trio. So as I said, Saggy and Jack kind of worked with them. Sean, EA Sean and AU Sean wanted to work with me because we're all singles on that team. And let's see, Izzy liked me. Gold liked me. So, I mean, yeah. So that's why that happened. But sorry, I'm so sorry for talking so much.
No,
But,
oh my god, that's what the interview is for. We
yeah,
want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, that's all I got to say for now. Any other questions?
Just more of a comment on like what you were saying about how like you kind of got away with it. I would say yes, but because you got fourth place, but like people also, like, because you voted out your partner, like literally on the first vote, and you were pretty quick, like you didn't fight it. People were like, yeah, Malachi is not trustworthy whatsoever. Like that's sketchy as fuck. Like why would he do that? Did you like know that people like didn't trust him?
Feeling I didn't know who would like. So I had a feeling some of the people would, but like at the same time, if they're looking at from my point of view, it makes sense, right? Oh, we're going to a stalemate in the first tribal. Oh, my partner's talking the least. Ooh, so let me just pin it on someone else. Now, of course, I mean, I could have. So at the second vote off, Cypher-kun was technically voted off 6-2, with Chip being voted off, or Chip being left out of the vote. Noticed how at my tribal, when my partner was getting voted off, I wasn't left out of the vote. I was like, okay, guys, look, let's be frank. Joey isn't talking too much. Joey isn't really talking. Well, it's not even that. He was just a little dry. And if you're kind of dry in orgs, and you have an extremely good cast with colorful personalities, people are gonna look at you like, huh, maybe we should vote this person out. So yeah, I could see why people thought I was a little shady with me having my partner just go out. But someone had to go, you know? Someone had to get voted off. I mean, I'd rather it be him than me. I mean, gonna be honest, obviously. So yeah, that's why I did what I did, and I knew the consequences. Like, people are gonna think I'm shady, but then I can kind of make it into where you can keep me as a vote. Like, you know, you keep me in your trio, your little trio, and you know, I can move forward with you in this game. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about that.
Okay, Elk, do you have any comments on like the partner situation with Malachi?
I guess one question that I have is, like, how concerned were you with any sort of reputation that you would get for being willing to turn on your partner early? Like, like, to what degree did that factor into it? Like, worrying
So
or wondering about, like, how much are people gonna say, like, if he cut his partner, he'll cut me too?
great question. I do like that question. So, it was very concerning on my mind at the time. I don't think I talked about that in my video confessional, but it was slightly concerning. But that's kind of why I did it in a way where I wouldn't get the blame put on me, and that's why I put it on Cypher-kun. Also, I didn't want to look like a threat moving forward, like, ooh, I'm gonna vote for my partner. You know, like, come on now. I'm not that stupid, but yeah, so that's kind of why I played that tribal a little slick. So I went to Cypher-kun and then kind of blamed it on him. I might be the reason why he got 23rd. So I feel really bad. I hope he gets another chance. But yeah, I had to do what I had to do, and yeah, because I was thinking very long term, like extremely long term. I was thinking towards the merge actually, um, with voting off my partner. I was thinking, well, let's see, if me and Joey get to the merge, then you know, if Joey, like my mind was like clockwork. I was thinking of so many possibilities of me voting off my partner, and then it just my gut told me to vote off my partner. You know, in my video confessional, I was even like, well, if I gotta vote off my partner, then I'll gladly do it. I don't care. I'll gladly vote off my partner. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's a pro that comes out of it. People are gonna use me as a number moving forward, which is what happened. So, yeah, it was a concern, but it wasn't the biggest concern. My biggest concern was getting to the final 23. So, yeah.
Okay,
That's all I gotta say on that.
gotcha. So I will move on to the next question then, which is, oh my God. Like, okay, let me do my little setup first. So you were someone who, I don't know how the fuck no one like was screaming alt like it was season 7, because you managed to know everything that was going on at all times, but no one ever mentioned you. I had to like check the cast list to make sure that you were on the cast because I didn't know, because people weren't talking about you, but you knew everything. How did you manage to have so much information without anyone ever mentioning you?
So, as I said before, like say like 10 minutes ago about my invisibility on the season, obviously I knew it was invisible. It was a part of my gameplay in a way, and as you guys know, I voted off my partner first. So, with that being said, people wanted me in their trio moving forward as numbers. So people would just tell me stuff, literally just tell me information about how tribals are happening. Like, so for example, actually, at the Saggy trial, I said tribal. At the when Saggy Bumpkin got voted off, Jack was just telling me everything about what was happening on the other tribe. So even if I didn't have a partner, if I just paired up with someone, who just has a partner who's really good at just giving information to their partner, and then that person gives me information, I'm golden, and I know how to maneuver through whatever happens. And I was just thinking very far ahead. I didn't portray it much because I didn't want to be seen as like a very big strategical threat, and I didn't want to be paranoid. But if I just align myself with very smart people and, just tell me stuff a lot, then I'm chilling. Like, who's gonna go after me? Like, nobody was really going. In fact, I think I was the least targeted person in the entire merge. Literally, nobody went to target me. The only time I was targeted at the merge was, I guess, during the what's it called? So the people who had partners were immune, and if you didn't, you weren't immune. Obviously, I was gonna get targeted for like a little bit, but I didn't get a single vote. And then I was targeted at the final 8 for like literally, no joke, for like 1 minute because they they thought myself, EA Sean, and AU Sean a final 3 deal, which kind of technically we did in a way. And they didn't take the shot at us. So Gold said my name, but then Izzy was like, no, we should do AU Sean. And this kind of goes into my threat management, which is so important. Many people don't think about this, but threat management is probably one of the more important factors in the game, especially at the merge. And I think I had one of the better ones because even if you didn't trust me, you didn't have any reason to target me at all.
Mm.
Literally.
Mhm.
Like, that's why I wasn't ever targeted during the merge, like, at all. I was, let's see, when was it? The only time I was scared of going home was during like when Jack got idled out. It was, I think, 5-2-1, and Chris voted for me. Chris voted for me. I was looking at my phone. I was at work. I remember Alex does not count. Alex does not count. Alex does not count. Alex does not count. And then went to Jack, and I was like, oh, bye, Jack. And then it went to me, and I'm like, fuck.
Me.
So and I'm like, wait, let me think about this. So if Alex and Pina vote together, then they'll probably vote off Jack, and I'm chilling. So that means either this voted for me, Jack voted for me, which I thought he did actually. Lisa, Chris, or Sean. And yeah, so that was the only time I was actually scared of getting voted off, to be frank. But yeah, that's kind of how I maneuvered information. Also, another thing is, when I got information, I didn't tell anyone shit. Any information that came to me, except for maybe EA Sean, because at the time we were in the best position at like the final 7 and 8 and 6. Pretty good position. I would only tell EA Sean stuff, but any information that went to me, I was like, okay, I can use this information later, just store it to myself, because if you pass information, if you're just telling people stuff, people aren't going to trust you. For example, AU Sean. Everyone knows he was playing like Double Agent Daniel, and then people just didn't trust him. Like, we were supposed to make a big alliance with all the people who didn't have any partners, right? Nobody wanted AU Sean in the alliance. Nobody trusted the dude. Even Ellie and Tig were like, we can use AU Sean's vote to vote off Alex. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I can get him on board with that, and so yeah, so that's how I was invisible, but people were still giving me info, and I just kind of used it to my advantage by keeping my mouth shut and not making myself a target, and that's how I got to the final 4. But yeah,
That is so iconic. Like, that is
for real.
so iconic. And then you just have like this blast of OTT at the end. Like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to witness. Or as Elk would say, CP and N. But we disagree, and that's okay. Elk, do you have anything to say about Malachi's invisibility and power run?
No, I mean, I think that honestly explained it really well. Like, I think the sentence that jumped out to me most in all of that was when you said that, like, even if people didn't trust me, they had no reason to target. And
Yeah,
I
like,
think that's really like the one sentence summary of what made your game as special and as interesting as it was the idea that people didn't have to trust you as long as they knew that even if they didn't trust you, like, there were better targets than you. You were sort of like mastering that positional aspect of the game while still having room to, like, start
navigate.
brandishing up and navigating exactly.
Yeah. And another strategy I kind of use, this is actually at the start of the merge. After the crisp blind set, I was like, okay, Sap and Izzy are kind of running the show. Everyone knew it. I'm like, well, their power is gonna fizzle. Okay, actually, I'm gonna touch base on this. I know you guys think I'm delusional, yada yada yada. I'm gonna actually explain the Ginger Snap vote. I'm gonna explain it. So the vote was supposed to either be 8-4 or tie, right? The vote was 8-4. So myself and Tig were actually semi-close. We talked to each other a lot late at night. So we were like insomniacs. We talked a lot late at night, and I genuinely enjoyed Tig's presence. So we would just talk game, and I think this is in my confessionals, if you guys look at it. There was one night where I was like, okay, let me just play ball. Fuck it. Why not? So I went to vote off Ginger Snap. I don't think I was the first person to say Ginger Snap's name. I might be wrong. I could have been. I was either like the first, second, or third person, but I said this around like 1 in the morning or like 2 in the morning. It's in my confessionals. I was just like, hey Tig, vote Ginger Snap. I just straight up said it. I was like, hey, and then I just gave him a list of reasons to like flip on Zap and Izzy. And we wanted the power away from Zap and Izzy at the time because for whatever reason, people were like, "Oh no, I still like Izzy." I'm like, bro, okay, well, if Zap's immune and Izzy isn't, then shouldn't we vote Izzy? No, but Izzy's cool. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I was like, and let's just do Ginger Snap because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't trust Ginger Snap at all. Like I trusted him the least out of anyone. I trusted him the least, literally. I was like, okay, well, hey Tig, maybe we should vote off Ginger Snap. I mean, just do it. You know you want to. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about it with Ellie. And then AU Sean actually kinda I think Tig talked about the Ginger Snap with like the big alliance with I think it was like Zap, Izzy, all the duos. I don't know. But I think he talked about that vote and it kinda surfaced. The other person's name that was on the chopping block was Chip. And then I didn't want Chip to go because he was one of my numbers. So I'm like, okay, well, I really need Ginger Snap to go now. So I was like, hey, Ellie and Tig. It was mainly Tig. I really enjoyed talking to Tig more. Also, me and Ellie's time zone, like when when I was awake, he was asleep, vice versa. So it was a little hard to talk to him. But yeah, I was like, Tig, you know you want to do it. Vote off Ginger Snap. Just do it. Just do it. It's gonna get you in a better position, which was true. And so, AU Sean was like, hey man, I was talking with Ellie. You know, they might vote off Ginger Snap. And I'm like, ooh, bet. If the votes tie, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It doesn't matter to me. So the plan was if the votes were to tie, Ellie and Tig would change their votes to Ginger Snap instead of on Chip, to avoid rocks, yada, yada, yada. And nobody was going to go to rocks at Final 12, high Final 6, quite the opposite. But anyway, no one was going to go to rocks at Final 12. And then I made a I made a little error. I was like, oh my god, my move worked. Zap and Izzy flipped for whatever reason. But I didn't look at the parchments. So I looked at the parchments, and then I saw one particular parchment talking about a tie. It was like Chip, and a tie would be so whatever. And I was like, wait, if Tig and Ellie flipped, then that parchment wouldn't technically be there because they wouldn't talk about a tie, they would just flip. Obviously, Gold didn't vote off his own partner. So that means, obviously, Zap and Izzy flipped, which is what happened. So yes, that's why that was my move. There you go. Turns out Zap and Izzy flipped, which actually, it worked out very great for me in the final 11 anyway, because of the fact that Tig, Ellie, and Gold were kind of pissed off with Zap and Izzy that they flipped on them. Even though Tig and Ellie were gonna do the same thing. But anyway, Gold was especially mad because his partner just walked out. So I'm like, okay, let me play that to my advantage. So I kind of started to talk with the people who got flipped on. So that was Tig, Ellie, and Gold. And then, perfect timing, Gold pulls me into an alliance with himself, Tig, and Ellie. Then we come up with this plan to get Alex out of here, to kind of take away from Zap's numbers. And again, if you're my ally, if you really don't think I'm gonna like having with the Joey vote, I'm gonna backstab you probably. Sorry, Alex, but I want to win the game. So they come up with this plan, like, okay, let's get rid of Alex because Alex is a slightly bigger threat. I mean, he had an idle play, and he was kind of paranoid. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, let's do Alex. So I got pulled into that alliance, and then we had a plan. So they wanted me to get, I think, Sean and Lisa on board to vote off Alex, which was easy as hell because Lisa loved me for some reason. Lisa just really liked me and treated me like her son. It was kind of weird. But I was like, "Hey Lisa, we should vote Alex, yada yada yada." And she was like, "Oh, okay. What about the other people? Who are they voting?" I'm like, "Alex. The only people that should be left out of the vote are Alex, Chip, Izzy, and Zab because I had suspicions that they had an alliance, and I was at the bottom of the losing Queens alliance, which was myself, Chip, and Alex, and they made an alliance, and I was right. And I like after the season, I was like, okay, let me see what alliances were happening. It was Alex, Zap, Chip, and Izzy. And I was like, huh, well, I'm glad I did that. But yeah, I kind of want to get myself in a better position moving forward. And so yeah, and then Alex was like, "Hey, we should target AU Sean." I was like, "No, no, we can't do that." Well, I didn't say that obviously because me and him were kind of working together in the shadows per se. We didn't want to make it obvious, so I was like, maybe Ellie. I don't know. Maybe not AU Sean. He has a lot of allies, and it worked. And I was like, okay, let's do Ellie. I'm like, whew, thank God, because if an idol was played, I didn't want AU Sean to get idled out, and that would it would take a blow to my numbers. So they settled on Ellie, and that's why Ellie received 4 votes at that tribal council, and hence why I flipped on Alex. Got me in a way better position. Lisa trusts me more. Sean has trust with me. Tig, Ellie, and Gold trust me. Also, with the Ginger Snap vote, I actually told them everyone. So obviously, Tig, Ellie, and Gold were left out of that vote, right? I told them last second that Ginger Snap is the vote, and that's why they wanted an alliance with me. It was to build trust with them. So when the lines were redrawn in the sand, because it was bound to happen, when the lines were redrawn in the sand, no matter what, I was going to be in the majority, and that's how that happened.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like it's so amazing to like hear your game now because it's like we didn't get to see a lot of it. Not because you didn't explain it, but just because like you
No,
didn't.
I'm gonna be honest. There were way more interesting, I'm gonna say, storylines going on.
Yeah.
Like Zap and Ellie's rivalry, Chip and Lisa rivalry, the live tribal. So I can actually see why my game was invisible. So it actually makes perfect logical sense. Gold and Sean were social threats. AU Sean was just really goofy and funny, so a lot of people liked him from like the audience standpoint. And then everyone was like, huh, Malachi is just floating and riding coattails. And I'm like, well, if I'm floating and riding coattails, first off, I'm not riding anyone's coattails. Whose coattails am I riding? I've been basically backstabbing every single person that I've aligned myself with. So doesn't make any logical sense. I was looking at the Ponderosa chat like, all right, well, you guys are just mad I made it further than you. It's okay. Like, come on now. But yeah. Also another thing. With the reason why I kind of gravitate to playing under the radar, I know it's a little boring, Ashley, and I do agree. Under the radar is a little boring, but you can see why I did what I did. So this is when arguments started to happen frequently. So after the Alex blindside, when he got voted off 7-4, you guys know about the Chip and Lisa argument. You know damn well I was gonna keep my mouth shut. Like, I mean, I just flipped on Chip, who was actually a pretty close ally, and I actually did like Chip. But I was like, well, I kind of want to win the game, so let me just flip on Chip. And then she went off on Lisa. Lisa went off on her, and I kept my mouth shut. And then Zap got involved, and then people were trying to break up the fight. And then Zap won an individual immunity again. And then yeah, that the final 10 where it was a live tribal. Again, I'm in a position where I can, just let the big threats take each other out and let people argue and instigate and, do all that goofy stuff while I just slide on by. Nobody's looking at me. Like, in fact, during that live tribal, I don't know if you guys noticed that, Nobody said my name once.
Right.
At all.
Oh, it was noticed.
Not a single person. Maybe one, but like not even to vote me off. They were just like saying my name, like, "Oh, where's Malachi?" I'm like, I'm at work, dip fuck. Anyway, but nobody said my name once, so I'm just chilling. Like, oh man, this is great. I mean, I'm going to the final 9. Well, to the final 8, because at least I got pulled. But yeah, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I don't have to do anything. I just got to vote with the majority because we couldn't DM each other, so we couldn't even pull off a blind side actually. Tig ended up getting basically idled out because Zap gave up individual immunity. And I was like, well, I lost an ally. Oh well, it kind of happens a lot. And then, yeah, so yeah, that's how my strategy worked out in depth. Obviously, I knew I was invisible, and I knew you guys thought I was like floating and yada yada yada. But honestly, I was sort of kind of a weird comparison. I was playing like Mike Gabler and Sandra. I didn't have a problem with backstabbing. But at the same time, you're not going to see me doing it because there's other big threats in the way. Like, you know? So, yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have lots of questions. So yeah, that was great. You
Ask me anything you want. Anything. It does not matter.
you are so good at like explaining yourself. Like you're so entertaining to listen to. I love this.
Thank you.
So my next question, you kind of talked about this, like whenever you were giving the overview of your game, how like you kind of had a strategy, but things changed. So, I'm just going to jump into it. Like, what was your strategy going into the game? And can you compare and contrast it with how you actually ended up playing?
So, obviously, the basic strategy of Survivor is, be cool with your tribe mates. Don't really get into arguments. If you're going to get into arguments with people, you better be in a high level of power. Like, what happened in the final 11 or after the final 11 vote. I didn't get to an argument with a single person. In fact, if I were to get into an argument, I would just simply back away. Like Izzy tried to argue with me a couple of times, I just backed away. I'm like, it's not worth it because if she blows up my game, I'm out. But yeah, just backed away, kept my cool, and going into the game, honestly, I thought about every single thing logically. No emotion to it. Holy fuck, that sounds really bad. I just thought of every single thing logically. I just kept my cards close to me. I didn't go out spurting. Ooh, I have it. Well, actually, as a backup comparison, I didn't find advantage in the Safari. But ooh, guys, there's a blind set happening. We should do another plan. And then I get voted off. Like I didn't want to do that. I just want to be like that guy everyone can depend on for the votes. So, and it happened a lot. A lot of people wanted me like as their vote. So, for example, let's go to final 7. This is where I was in like the best position known to man. So at this point in the game, every single person in the game wanted a final tribal council to deal with me, except for Zap and I think it was someone else. I think except for Zap. So Izzy won a final tribal council deal with me. Sean, both of the Seans won the final tribal council deal with me. Gold won the final tribal council deal with me. That's 4 people. Ellie won the final tribal council deal with me. 5 people. Obviously, I can't have a deal with myself. I want to go to the final tribal council. Then Zap, we didn't really talk. So, yeah. So every single person won a final tribal council deal with me. And at this point, I'm like, wait, holy crap, I'm in a lot of power. Because I was thinking about jury management. I was like, okay, how do I backstab without backstabbing? If that makes sense. Like, I didn't want to go into this, like, stabbing everyone in the back. If I'm going to stab you in the back, I'm going to do it, a little assassin-like. I'm not going to be like, ha, I stabbed you in the back, you're a loser. But, like, I got to do it in a sneaky way. So, here's an example. At the final 7 vote, it was between, obviously, Izzy and Ellie. And honestly, both of them were kind of chaotic as crap. So myself and EA Sean were just like, dude, who do we vote off? This is getting nowhere. AU Sean wanted to vote off Izzy. Gold was somewhat in the middle, and then what's it called? Zap obviously wanted to vote off Ellie because Zap and Izzy were partners, and so I was in a prime position to not per se call the shots for that vote, but I was in a position where like, oh well, if I do this, I'm chilling, and if I do that, I'm chilling. It doesn't really matter what I do. Either way, I'm coming out of this unscathed. And then I thought kind of big brain. So I was like, okay, let me think about this. I need to think ahead towards the final 6. So what I did, I told EA Sean, and Gold to completely leave AU Sean out of the vote at that tribal council. With that being said, at the final 6, the plan was for AU Sean and Izzy to go after each other at the final 6, which is what happened until the votes tied and we went to rocks. At a 1 in 3 chance of going home, I decided to, take the rock, and, I came out of that unscathed because, but more on that later. But yeah, that's what happened, and it did work. And then when AU Sean was like, oh, I thought the vote was on Ellie, guess who I blamed? Izzy. Like, I can do whatever I want and just blame someone. I'm not going to get any flack for it. And that's what happened at the Joey vote as well. Just blame another person, and then, like, nobody's going to look at me. So I think that was a really good strategy. It wasn't per se my strategy going into the game, just blaming everyone.
Mhm.
But I wanted to play extremely swift and, like, very assassin-like. Because I didn't want to, like, call the shots or, like, be like, ooh, I'm in charge, because then it's A, a target on my back, B, gonna guarantee be getting votes, C, probably gonna be going into Ponderosa very soon. And yeah, so that was my strategy, making very strategical and social moves. I made it my mission to bond with a lot of my team, or like a lot of my tribe mates, to get in good with them. So when tribal council came along, they're like, "Hey Malachi, vote with us. Like, come on, you want to do?" I'm like, "Oh, sure. Ooh, does this benefit me though?" That's the thing. Does that benefit me though moving forward? Because I'm looking out for myself. I'm not looking out for you. I mean, I am, but I'm not.
Mhm.
So my strategy, it did kind of line up with how I want to play the game a lot, actually. So yeah, that's my answer to the question. It did line up like nearly perfectly. So yeah.
Alright.
I do just want to touch for a second on the rough draw, since you mentioned it in your answer there. Um, did you give any consideration to flipping during the rough draw and
Oh,
voting out Sean, and then just saying, okay, like, even if we flip and vote out Sean, we still have a 3-2 majority against F and Izzy?
Oh, most definitely. But see, the thing was that if I flipped my vote, that'll be EA Sean's move, right? And then he would be in a pretty good position. Here's why. Zap and Izzy would have trust with him, right? And so EA Sean would be in the middle between myself and Gold and Zap and Izzy. And I didn't want all that power going to EA Sean. So I was like, okay, let me think about this logically. Obviously, this is a really big move. Fucking 1 in 3 chance of going home. You could be stupid tonight, Malachi. Or you could wuss out. Either way, it's a somewhat of a lose-lose, but let me think about this. So I thought and thought and thought. And then Zap and Izzy were just blowing up Gold's game, and it was honestly very funny. Holy crap. I don't know why he thought making alliances with nearly everyone was a good idea, but it was very humorous for me. So, yeah. So I just thought to myself, if I come out of this unscathed, which is what happened, who's gonna target me? Nobody. My guy Gold already basically had his blood in his hands by trying to blindside Izzy, even though it was actually really my idea, but like he got blamed for it, which wasn't even my fault. So that was kind of funny. That's why I was like, it kind of isn't all Gold's move, but after I said that, I was like, wait, never mind. Let me keep my mouth shut. It was Gold's move. Haha. Yeah, it's all Gold's fault. Yep, Izzy, go after him at the final 5. Haha. Don't go after me, which is what happened. But yeah. So if I went out of that unscathed, I would be in such a good position and wouldn't be funny. So I would have still had trust with EA Sean, and then I would have had trust with AU Sean because I didn't flip my vote like a dingus. And then if Gold were to come out unscathed, he would still have trust with me, and he did have trust with me. So like, I gave it consideration, but you have to take a risk, at least one risk in the game, and going to rocks is the biggest risk you can take, especially when there's 6 people, because then there's only a 1 in 3 chance, and it's left completely up to luck. So I was like, okay, fuck it, don't wuss out now. You're almost towards the end of the game. Honestly, if you get to the final tribal council, even if the jury, thinks you're a goat, you have a pretty decent chance. I mean, your partner did get voted off first. It would be a pretty cool story. So just do it, Malachi. And I did it, and that's why and that's why I, didn't wuss out and did the rock draw.
Right. Let's go. It's just so refreshing to like hear this like strategy. And maybe that's because I didn't listen to the video confessionals. I'll admit it. But like
It's fine.
getting to see your game like laid out and played, and like you really played a really strong game, and you weren't just this like ghost in the shadows that you were kind of coming across as.
Well, I would call myself an assassin. Because I backstabbed. Oh wow, how many people did I backstab? Oh my goodness. So, Jesus, I wouldn't say I backstabbed EA Sean because that was a rock draw. So, I backstabbed Joey. I backstabbed Ricey, but he was coming for me, so I wouldn't count that. He came for me. I did backstab Alex very hard. Completely stabbed him in the back. Still do kind of feel bad. Backstabbed Chip. And then I backstabbed Ellie. He went to go to the final tribal council with me. I was like, no, you can go. Backstabbed him. Yeah, I backstabbed a lot of people. I'm gonna keep it real. Whether I wanted to or not, but yeah. Do I feel bad? Yes and no. I only say yes because the people I played with are pretty cool. So I did feel bad in the moment, but I was like, well, it'll improve your game, which it did. So yeah, I backstabbed a lot, but it is what it is. So that's what I think about it.
I mean, that's what villains of the season do. So
it is called Villain Vibers, to be fair.
Exactly. That's what you're here for. By the way, it's L, not Ellie.
Right. Wow, I'm dumb. Okay. L.
Yeah, I kept meaning to correct you.
There's another E. There's another E.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Anyway.
L.
Speaking of like being a villain in Villain Viver, you would do some explosive things sometimes. And this actually got brought up in our interview with Izzy and Zap, where Izzy mentioned that you would often yell at her in DMs whenever you were left out of a vote, which was confusing to her because it's like
I don't think I did that. Did I?
I mean, I saw some screenshots where you didn't.
Actually,
you didn't.
I think I did to Zap.
Okay, I was gonna say like because
yeah.
how is so like my question is like how did you manage to do things like yell at people in DMs and amongst other things like villainous things like backstabbing and but I guess my focus is on the yelling at people in DMs, especially when you weren't even a target, and yet you remained on good terms with everyone and you were not a target.
Okay, so okay, so let's go to the first merge boot, the Chris blindside. So again, obviously Sean was AU Sean. This was when people actually didn't know AU Sean was playing double agent. But AU Sean was close to EA Sean and myself, so I kind of knew that the three people's names on the chopping block were Chris, what's it called? EA Sean and Alex. I casted my vote against EA Sean because I was like, well, let's think about it. If I vote for Chris, then people are gonna think that like I was working with Zap and Izzy, which screw that. Yeah, I didn't want that label. And then if I voted for EA Sean, I could just be like, "Hey man, I voted for you," which I actually didn't do. He probably knew I voted for him, but if he didn't, oh well. But yeah, I casted my vote for EA Sean because I didn't know how concrete Chris, how concrete what's it called? Chris getting voted off was. So I was like, okay, let me just cast my vote for EA Sean and see what happens. So the votes were like 6-4 to 3, and Zap was like, hey, vote, EA Sean. I was like, okay, because I can't really do much because she's immune. That's not even the issue. Not just because she was immune. Half the people controlling the votes were immune. So I kind of quite literally couldn't do anything. But Izzy liked me at the time, so and Izzy and Zap were kind of running things. So me receiving votes at that tribal was like slim to none. So I was still chilling. So I got like a little mad at Zap. Not even per se mad. I wasn't even mad because it was a blind side. I was like, oh well. But honestly, with me, I would be more mad that people left me out of a vote than me getting votes. It sounds weird, but I would rather receive votes at tribal than be left out of a blind side, because if I'm left out of a blind side, I'm thinking like, crap, I'm next. But then a lot of people, like 5 people, were left out of the vote, or like 4. So like I was like, well, I don't per se think I'm next, but you know, not probably not how you make friends. So I went to Zab's DMs and like yelled at her, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's what happened. Basically. I don't think anything else. I don't think I yelled at Izzy. In fact, it was quite the other way around. Holy crap. I don't think I yelled at Izzy too much. I probably did like once or twice, but she did it more. So, um, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm right. But yeah, that's what happened at the Chris blindside at the Final 13, and how I navigated that by, yelling at Zap, which probably wasn't it wasn't the smartest thing, because Zap was like controlling the game and everyone was just listening to her orders for some fucking reason. I don't get why people were doing that. But then I was like, wait, I kind of just like yelled at the person who's controlling the game. Whoops. But then as I keep saying, even if you don't trust me, you don't have a reason to get rid of me. There's more people who are untrustworthy and more people who are bigger threats than me. So why would you vote me off? And hence why I didn't receive a vote at all. Actually, yeah, I didn't even realize that. I didn't receive a vote until the final 4. So I think episode 9, I received a vote. And then what episode was I voted off? Ashley?
Oh, it would have been like episode 16 or something like that.
Huh. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That was 7 episodes. I didn't receive a single vote because my strategy was working. So, I mean, yeah. So even if I yelled at the person who was controlling the game, it really wouldn't matter. I mean, I have allies to protect me either way. I had Lisa, Ayushan, Sean, Alex and Chip were still working with me, so that's 5 people. I was getting in pretty good with Gold, Ellie, and Tig, who were left out of the Ginger Snap vote. So that's 8 people. So I mean, if my head was on the chopping block, I kind of doubt people would vote off a number this soon into the merge. So that's how I kind of got away with it.
I do have to ask though, you said that you backstabbed all these people and you literally listed them by name, but how did you manage to do that? And then also no one had a reason to vote you off? Like, or wait, no, I phrased that wrong. And how did you manage to do that and then like maintain that you were trustworthy? Like, doesn't that inherently make you untrustworthy?
True, but I just had holy fuck. So I would, again, as I said, I would try and bond with the like actually bond, like actually know what they like, would know what they dislike, in their personal lives and stuff like that. So I would actually generally talk with the people who I'm playing with, and like, I wasn't gonna play like AU Sean, where I was like, hey guys, who's the vote? Who are we voting? I would actually try and bond with the people who I'm fucking talking to, so they trust me even more. So even if I stabbed you in the back, you could just be like, hey Malachi, I know you stabbed me in the back, but can you work with me for this blind side? It'll be really cool. And that's kind of how, actually, perfect example. That's kind of how Ellie got voted off. I mean, even though, what's it called? Even though I voted indifferently from Zap and Izzy at the final 11 vote, the final 10 vote, they needed my vote for the final 7 to vote off Ellie. Also, another thing is I was somewhat playing the middle in the final 7, and as I said before, I left out AU Sean out of that vote, so they can Izzy and AU Sean could go after each other at the final 6, which is what happened. My positioning was pretty good. Myself, I was working really well with EA Sean. Myself, EA Sean, Ellie, and L. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
just
L.
about to say it's
Yeah, I was about to. Well, I was like, wait, no, L. So myself, Sean, L, and Sean could have just simply voted off Izzy 4-3. So I was in a position where either way, people trusted me no matter what. So it could have been 4-3, but it was 5-2 when So yeah, that's kind of how. Even if I instigated, even if I was a little weasel scumbag, you're not gonna vote me off because more threats, and I'm somewhat likable. I'm not the worst human being. I'm a little likable, just like a little bit. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Elk, do you have any comments on that?
I mean, I think that really does say a lot about how it was working for you over the course of the whole season. Like, I do think that was like that is such a good overview of everything that we've been talking about, and yeah, I think that really came through well. So I think we can go to the next question here.
Okay, so one of the most memorable tribals is one that got shut down a couple of times. You might know what I'm talking about. And that is going to be the topic of our discussion. So I wanted to know, what was going through your head during the F10 tribal, especially when you were instigating. And just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, it's whenever Lisa was like, we should vote someone who hasn't been talking. Keep in mind, you had not been talking. And then you go, you're right. Here is who is available to vote. So, what was going on in your mind? So, what was going on?
Dude, that was so funny. But okay, but yeah. I mean, if Chip and Lisa, they keep fighting, they're never gonna work. They're never gonna work with each other. But I feel like Chip, literally, although she hated the people who voted off Alex, she didn't hate my guts. I don't think she hated my guts. So if I ever needed to use Chip for a vote in the future, she would vote with me. If I ever needed Lisa to vote with me in the future, she would vote with me, which pretty good strategy. But yeah, I did some instigating, and I was very aware of that. Uh, Funny thing is, Chip didn't even say my name. She was like, "Actually, I think we should vote Lisa," and then it turned into a whole argument, and I was just laughing in my comps. Dude, I was just staying silent. I was like, man, this is just funny. I'm so glad I have my lunch break right now because this is a little funny. I'm very glad I did that. But yeah. I will admit I did instigate, but it was kind of funny, right? Come
Oh,
on
yeah,
now.
it was hilarious. It was
I just got away scot-free with it.
hilarious. It was absolutely.
I was basically like, "Hey man, you gonna let that slide? You just gonna let that slide, Lisa? Like, come on, we're gonna." I just disappeared back into the background, like nothing happened.
And you kind of slew, to be honest. You kind of slew. That was iconic. As many other things that you did this season were. And that's why you won Villain of the Season. Let's go. Elk, any comments on Malachi's antics at F10 Tribal?
I mean, I think it is one of those situations where, by keeping in the background the same way he was in other parts of the game, at that time, if things are blowing up around you, you don't need to step in and make them blow up more because they're already blowing up enough. Just sit back and let it happen because the only thing you can do by stepping into that is make your game worse. And I think that by realizing that, Malachi really set himself up.
Right. Absolutely. So the next question, you are clearly the villain, as we've mentioned many times, and we're just seeing more and more women.
I think I'm the hero. I don't know. I think
Oh,
I'm the hero.
yeah.
No.
I mean, that's part of your delusion arc, right? No, I'm kidding.
I'm very heroic, but go on.
So we're seeing it more and more even throughout this interview, especially because you're kind of like, I play for myself. I don't care. Sorry if you get hurt in the process. So I'm wondering if there was ever a point in the game where you decided definitively, okay, I am going to be the villain this season. L's
Dude,
I'm the villain
okay.
of Villain Viber moment.
No. Okay, so I never intended. Okay, this sounds dumb. You guys are gonna think I'm stupid. I actually was a little shocked that I got villain of the season because even Ellie was like, I'm the villain of Villain Viber. I'm like, okay, well, L thought like he was a villain of Villain Viber. I was like, you can have that title. I mean, you could also get 7th place, but I don't care. But yeah, I'm like, I mean, I played like a scumbag, but I didn't think I was gonna get villain. And then what I did at the final four, then I got the villain award. I was like, why am I the villain? I was like, oh, the final four. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, I guess it makes a little sense. So, yeah, yeah, but I can see why I got villain. Just a little bit. Still think I'm a little heroic. Kidding.
I mean, you've been talking about how like you painted your wall in the blood of those you backstabbed, like for half of this interview. Like, I feel like that
Good point.
alone had you well in the race for villain long before the final four started.
To be fair, I was a little invisible. To be fair, so I mean, people didn't know how to categorize me like a hero, villain, neutral, like But then after the game, yeah. So
In Hostland, we'd been advocating for you to be villain for well before Final Four. At least some of us had.
oh, okay, interesting. But I promise you guys, I'm not a terrible person. I'm not the worst person ever. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, Malachi. I don't think anyone thinks you're a terrible person.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks you're a terrible person.
You did like
As
crazy.
happened is you probably think because of the final four, but it's okay. I actually, you guys are probably gonna ask that, like questions about that, but
About what?
you know what, the grandma thing. I don't. Interestingly enough, I don't have any regrets about that. I don't, and here's why. So after my dumbass voted off gold, like an idiot, which I should have talked with A.U. Sean more to try and see where his head's at if he wanted to vote off Izzy. But my dumbass was like, wait, A.U. Sean isn't really communicating. That means, something's up. He's trying to vote off gold. And I was like, wait, if he's trying to vote off gold, I should probably vote with the majority. Let me talk with Zap and Izzy, yada, yada, yada. And I voted off gold. You got voted off unanimously. In fact, A.U. Sean even said, oh, we flipped individually. And I was like, yeah, I kind of had a feeling you were going to vote off A.U. gold because at that time, I think A.U. Sean and Izzy, they bonded a little more, probably because they were in a tie and like the whole rock draw, both of their necks were on the line, so they probably bonded with that and just bonded with overall nice stuff. So, yeah. And then at the final four, the plan was you guys are gonna think I'm stupid, but to be fair, when we sign up for orgs, we try to win. At the final four, obviously I knew Zap was gonna win immunity. I mean, dude, seriously, I was like, okay, Zap, you got this immunity win, like yada yada yada. It wasn't the worst idea to align with Zap near the end of the game to get further. And then she gives up individual immunity to Izzy. I'm like, well, GG's. I lost the season. GG's. Okay. And so I might have stayed up, 3 hours making the fake copy and paste. I analyzed how Zap. I literally like went back to like past tribals and like somewhat into our DMs. We didn't really, myself and Zap didn't talk too much, but I went back and I try to like say stuff like how she would say it in a way, because whenever she talked to someone who wasn't Izzy, she would talk a little not bland, but like bland. So I kind of try to play that, and I try to make it to where it was copied and paste, like how Zap would copy and paste it. And I did that for a whopping 3 hours. And I was like, yada, 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 yada. I just started typing. And then I even had coffee with me. It was like insane. I had coffee with me and everything. And I was like, perfect. If this fails, then I'm gone. So obviously it failed. But, I kind of, I kind of came to win, so I don't feel bad. I really don't, because they knew they were targeting me. If they're targeting me, I'm gonna try and not get targeted. So that's what I did. So I don't feel bad at all, actually. Also, my grandma is the best person, so I probably should have reiterated that. But it is what it is, and so I tried to make a strategical move. It didn't work, but in hindsight, honestly, I feel like under normal circumstances it would have worked because the copy and paste did look a little real, but it didn't work because Zap and Izzy were basically married, and then I got voted off 3-1. I decided to vote for AU Sean because I just had a feeling he was going to vote for me. Also, if I went to fire against Zap, I would lose. I didn't want to waste my time. So I voted for AU Sean, and I just knew I was going to go home. Especially since Izzy was like, dude, why are you being an asshole? I'm trying to recall what she said before I got voted off, but let's see. She basically said, dude, you tried to vote me off, and I figured my way to the final five. I get it. It sucks that I'm voting for you. I'm like, dude, I don't care. Just please vote me off. I don't care. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Shut up. And then I think we were about to argue, but again, my strategy was like not argue with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of stepped away, and I knew I was going to get voted off unanimously, and that's how I got voted off. So yeah, I guess I'm going to assume they targeted me because I guess Izzy was running the game at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and then Zap kind of did whatever Izzy wanted to do, and vice versa. And then Sean kind of got in good with Izzy at the final five, like how I discussed like a little earlier. And then they were like, "Oh, well, let's see who's not cool with our group, Malachi." And then they targeted me, and so that's why I got fourth. And then yeah, so yeah, but that's all I got to say for that.
Okay, I hate to say this, but according to Zap and Izzy, the copy and paste was not realistic whatsoever, especially apparently. I did not get
I tried my
I did
best.
not get
I
to see
really
them,
tried.
unfortunately. But apparently you used Sia, which
See ya. Oh, you're right. She doesn't say that. You're right. She says bye. That's
she
my
does
fault.
not
You're right.
say Sia. And that is kind of one thing that set it apart. But apparently, it did not sound like Izzy or like Zap at all. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is very iconic that you spent 3 hours like writing them.
I mean, I barely talked game to her. Whenever she wins, usually whenever she talked in like tribal, she was either like yelling at L or like just posting random stuff. So I kind of went off that because me and Zap did not talk any game. I would try to talk to her, but then I guess she would leave me on red or something. And then whenever we tried to talk game, it was like talking to a brick wall. So I was like, how am I gonna work with this? And obviously we literally never I don't think we worked together one vote. It's like literally
Right.
with the L vote, we literally worked together one vote. I didn't really trust Zap at all. But if I went to the finals with Zap, it would be maybe 50-50 because I could say like, oh, Zap, you've been kind of just winning immunities and just doing whatever Izzy wanted. I mean, so yeah, at that point, yeah. So I just kind of went off on like what Zap was saying at tribal, stuff like that. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think it was a very iconic move, you know.
I tried my best.
Elk, do you have any comments?
Honestly, like that's one of the things we love to see, right? Like sometimes, obviously, in orgs, especially when someone knows that they're, out of chances, they just sort of lay down and die a little bit. And you did like so
I
admirably
did
the
not do
opposite of
that.
that.
I did
You
not do
fought
that.
so hard to the bitter end,
I even
like
made it
a
to where
really
like
admirable and incredible way. That was
yeah.
like, even though we could tell that like wasn't going to work, like watching you try as hard as you did was incredible to watch, especially over the course of that final episode, because like it showed so much fight, so much spirit to keep playing in this game. Like it was
Yeah.
great. We loved it.
Yeah, and it was entertaining.
Okay.
So
Oh, for sure, for sure, for sure.
some points.
So, okay. My next question, you already know what's coming because you did mention that you know that you were one of the 3 delusional kings this season. And I don't say that as an insult. I love my delusional kings. Y'all made this season amazing. Like, literally stan the Delusional Kings. And so I want to go a little bit more into that because, like, you claimed a lot of moves that weren't your own, like most notably the Logan Tribal, which, like, you weren't even.
Wait, I did? I don't think I did that. I didn't even meet the guy. I didn't meet the guy at all. I don't think I did that.
Okay. You also claimed that you spent all night working with Tig on the F14 challenge.
Oh
the
yeah,
power
oh yeah,
climb,
I
which
was
you did.
bullshitting.
Yeah, you didn't.
Oh yeah, I was bullshitting. The only delusional thing I claimed was the ginger snap vote, which I already talked about earlier anyway, because I thought Ellie and Tig like voted for ginger snap, but Zap and Izzy actually flipped in actuality, and then yeah. But I don't think I claimed the Logan vote because I didn't even know what the fuck. I don't even know what happened during that vote. All I know is that an event was played where you couldn't see the votes, and only one parchment was shown. And so in my comps, I think I just like predicted how it happened. Like I think I predicted it was either 6-4 or 5-4-1. And then Zap played an advantage because let's be frank, I mean, who else will play an advantage besides Zap? And so yeah, but it didn't occur to me. I've never actually met Logan. We didn't go in the same tribe at all, so yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know, like, where this perception that you claimed a bunch of moves that you weren't even at came from, but, like, that is what everyone thought of you, that you were just claiming a bunch of moves that you did not do and that you were not part of. And so, like, my question was gonna be, like, was the delusion actually delusion or was it strategy?
I see. But yeah, with the TIG, me working all night, dude, I was watching Wednesday. I was like alt tabbing. I was just like, yeah, Tig, that looks great. Oh, that PowerPoint looks good. I didn't know what the heck he was doing. I didn't even know what I was looking at. All I remember was like a Peppa Pig PowerPoint. It was for the challenge, obviously. And I was like, man, that looks great. I mean, maybe you should add like, I don't know, confetti. Oh, this episode's getting really good. Let me just alt tab. And then yeah. Um, I stayed up all night watching Wednesday, not helping Tig. I mean, the only thing I really did was like talk to him to like not make him feel lonely. Other than that, I was watching Wednesday because the show was really good. So yeah.
That is so funny. Yeah, Tig asked if that could be brought up because Tig is quite upset and has been quite upset that you claimed credit for
No.
staying up and you.
I know I did. I know I didn't do shit. I didn't do anything. I know damn well I didn't do anything. Are you kidding me? I mean, worst case scenario, if we went to tribal episode, I mean, honestly, Izzy and Tig were on the chopping block if tribal were to come. But like, I would be like, hey guys, don't vote me off. I did the power. I helped in the PowerPoint. I didn't, but you know that if we went to tribal, which we didn't. So yeah, I was just watching Netflix that entire time, and it was a very great time because I didn't have work. My mom was in South Carolina. I was just chilling watching Netflix, and I had my thing on like idle, so like I could see when Tig like was messaging me about the PowerPoint.
Mhm.
So I was just alt tabbing. I'm like, yeah, man, that looks great. Ooh, wow, man, you should become like an artist, dude. Like, wow. And then I was like, yeah, this episode's getting really good. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go use the bathroom, quote unquote.
Oh, like
I was
like you were
watching
doing
Wednesday.
like before this interview, right?
Well, I actually went to go
I
use the
know,
bathroom.
I'm teasing you. Um,
But yeah.
okay, so that definitely, yeah, I don't know where this rumor came from, but that's the perception, and that definitely contributed to you getting villain of the season. But you know, now we're even more confused, and that's okay.
Oh,
The next question, and you've touched on this, but I don't think you've like dived deep into it. If you have, forgive me, I'm a little high and it's been a long day. But what the fuck was going through your mind at F5?
dude, so let's be frank, Gold was a threat. He liked making alliances left and right, which honestly you really shouldn't do. You should only make like 2 to 3, maybe, but he was like 4 or 5, and I knew he was making alliances, but I didn't know how many. So when Zap and Izzy were like good, just being like, oh, Gold's like God of Villain Fiber, he's gonna win if he gets to the end. I'm like, well, you two have no rights. A, B, I'm a little wary of Gold now, but I feel like he trusts me to a certain extent. I mean, everyone kind of trusted me to a certain extent in the later stages of the game, except for the final four. But, you know, I was like, well, man, Gold's a threat, but let's see if Zap is willing to cut Izzy. In my head, I'm like, wait, Zap wants to win the game, right? Bet. If Zap wants to win the game, she wants to get rid of Izzy at the final four because Zap is going to keep winning challenges. If I get to the end with Zap, then it's a 50-50 shot, or with AU Sean, but it's looking like a final 3 or final 2, so there's not a lot of time to get rid of these big threats. So I wasn't really perceived as a big threat the final 5, and because of the rock draw, because of how the results came, I know that Izzy wanted to go after Gold wanted to go after Izzy, and then AU Sean went to quote unquote go after Izzy, which was complete bullshit. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, dude, I know you've been bonding with Izzy. You're talking to me less. If you're talking to me less, something's up. So I was sort of in the middle. I mean, what else? Zap was with Izzy because they're partners, yada yada yada. So I'm like, okay, let me think about this. If I'm in the middle, then what do I do? So I was just kind of thinking all day. And Gold was like, guys, I'm gonna copy and paste everything to you. I'm like, man. And then Izzy was just like, we should vote Gold. I don't know. I'm down to talk game, even though I like arguing with you a little bit, but I'm down to talk game, and I'm always down to talk game every single round. Even if you like wrong me, I'm always down to talk game because I kind of I need to get to the next stage of the game. So I was like, wait, Gold's a threat. Gold's a big threat. If he gets to the end, he wins. He's played a really good social game. Honestly, I didn't know how many alliances he made until his game got blown up at the final 6. So it's not even per se I trusted him less. I knew he trusted me to an extent, but at the same time, it's like, wow, if he gets to the end, I kind of lose. He probably wants me at the end with him, but it wouldn't be good for my game if I lose to him because I want to win. So it's like, wait, what if I vote off Gold? I don't know how AU Sean's thinking though. This is where I messed up royally. I didn't really talk to AU Sean that much during that cycle, at the final 5 cycle, which was a mistake because if we talked to each other, even if I was left out of the vote 3-2, which I didn't want to be left out of the vote. That would suck because I kind of wanted my game to be about me being on top of most of the votes during the merge. With the exception of the Chris blindside, I was literally voting correctly every single tribal. So that I kind of wanted for my resume to vote with a majority every time. And then I just had a feeling that AU Sean is best friends with Izzy out of nowhere for some odd reason. So I'm just thinking, well, if I was AU Sean, would I vote off Gold? I would. So, like a dumbass, I didn't really talk to AU Sean. Again, this is where it's not per se that voting off Gold was a bad move. It was, but I should have discussed it with AU Sean because myself and AU Sean were still working together. I mean, I risked my game for him, which I never thought I would do. Holy crap. But yeah, if I had talked with him more about it, then the outcome of the season might have been different, and I would have maybe have won it. But I'm a fucking idiot, and I didn't talk to my ally, even though a little shady. But yeah, I had a feeling something was up, but I should, I didn't want to play it too dangerously because we're at the final 5. I have a 1 in 4 chance of going home, and I don't want to go home. So unfortunately, this is the one round I decided to play somewhat passive, and I fucked up. And at the final 4, they had the numbers to get rid of me, and that's how I got 4th. And that's kind of why I made my decision about voting off Gold. I kind of wish that here, if Izzy were to go at 5, then I could have maybe voted for Sean at the final 4 because I feel like Zap would have voted for Gold at the final 4, and then maybe I could have tied it to Fire. But then if Zap were to win final immunity at the final 3, obviously she would take me over Gold because she has no choice because Gold's a really big threat. And I'm in the final 2 that have a pretty decent shot against Zap, and then I win the game. But I miscalculated. I mean, I'm not like Einstein. I'm I miscalculated, didn't talk to Ayushan enough, and that's why I got 4th place. And yeah, that was kind of my thought process going into it. Because I didn't think Zap was just gonna throw her game away for Izzy. I was like, okay, Final 4, we gotta get rid of Izzy. And then she gives individual immunity up to Izzy. And I was like, no way. There's no way this is happening. And that's what happened. So yeah. Yeah. Safe to say those 2 girls don't like me, but it's okay. But yeah, that's kind of my thought process about voting off Gold. And that's why I casted my vote for him.
Okay. I do have to like I just like so 2 things. So one, saw Gold as a threat. It is
He was, to be
he
fair.
was, but in my opinion, he was also an easier beat than Izzy.
Izzy.
But
Fair point.
like so I think it's fair to say that you just got misted. You got Izzy misted. Right?
See, in my head, I genuinely believed it was like Izzy and Gold. They had somewhat equal chances of beating each other. Well, yeah, I would say that because Gold was completely fine with the jury. Who in their right mind hates Gold in the jury? Nobody.
Right.
So I was thinking about that. If it was me, people would think, "Oh, I'm a goat. I'm a floater. Ooh, you suck at the game." Which I mean, the doy. Obviously, I wasn't floating. I didn't ride anyone's coattails. With AU Sean, literally, this guy would just talk game with people. So a somewhat easier beat with Zap. She's just been winning challenges. So in my head, especially after that final 6 tribal, how he's been making alliances a lot, and not gonna lie, kind of fucking scared me. When you're making a lot of alliances during the end stages of the game, it kind of means you want a lot of power. If you have a lot of power in the final stages of the game, you're kind of, you're gonna win if you play your cards right. Unfortunately, what's it called? You kind of fucked up because, you know, EA Sean had the votes tie, yada yada yada. You guys know how that played out. We went to Rocks, and yeah. So in my head, I thought they both had pretty decent chances of winning because, to be fair, Izzy kind of argues a lot. So, like, if it were to a popularity contest, I think Gold would win, but in game terms, Izzy would win. So it was 50-50 for me in my head. So yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
My other question on this is there's been this narrative that at the F5, the reason that, you know, Gold went was because Izzy worked on Sean and like kind of was like, we're going to the end together, like we're a duo. And then Zap worked on you and was like, we're going to the end together, we're a duo.
We worked on Zap. Literally, every single time I talked to Zap first. Maybe not, maybe like one time she talked to me first. Maybe one time. I was like, hey, Zap, your partner's kind of gonna beat you in the end. Does that not worry you? She's like, yeah, it worries me. We should vote her off at the final 4. I was like, oh, the fuck? I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't. Because, like, Zap was like, I'm loyal. I'm like, well, if I remember correctly, you kind of flipped on Ellie and Tig and Gold. But L, fuck. There's another E, dude. Anyway, but, you kind of flipped on them. So I don't know if you could play that card. But, I thought she wanted to win the game. Because, to be fair, Zap did have a better chance at going against myself or AU Sean at the final 2 FTC than she did Izzy, but obviously she valued loyalty over winning, and then voted me off. So I wanted, yeah, I went to Zap and I was like, hey, your partner's gonna win the game. Nudge, nudge. And she was like, okay. And at the time, I was a little on edge of that. Not per se on edge, but I was like, dude, if she's playing me, she loses. So I don't know why she would play me. And then she played me, and then she lost. So I'm like, oh well, it is what it is. So yeah.
Okay.
Now, on that subject though, like Imagine for a second that Zap is playing like for strictly first place and doesn't care at all about getting second to Izzy or anything like that as like any consideration at all. Do you think it would have made sense in that spot for Zap to still vote you at 4 with the
No.
idea of like voting Izzy off at 3 and going to the end with Sean instead of you?
So I would say no, because I think in Zap's head my resume was a little weak. And since I think at the time we thought I don't think it was a final 3. It wasn't confirmed. But everyone thought it was a final 2, and at that point, okay, it's probably a final 2. Actually, I believed that Zap thought Sean was a bigger threat than me because of, his double agent shenanigans, escaping votes, went to rocks. So at the final 4, perfect opportunity to get rid of Izzy. And then at the final 2, she has complete because she's gonna win immunity, so it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if I try in the challenge or not. It didn't matter. Unless it was like a guess that anime challenge, I wasn't winning any of these challenges because Zap was just gonna keep winning. Honestly, at the final 3, she has complete power if she wants to take either Ayushan or myself. And I think genuinely a little bit that she would have taken me because Ayushan has been playing a pretty good strategical game. And so I think she would have taken me and it would have been 50-50 because the jury would have been like, oh, Malachi's a bit of goat. He's just been writing the majority. And then the jury would have been like, oh, Zap's just been winning immunity. So it would have been a literal 50-50 for her. So that's kind of, yeah, that's my reasoning. It's my thought process.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to start winding down a little bit. Let me tell you how the rest of the interview is going to play out. So I have 3 questions that I ask in every interview, and they're a little like less game specific and a little more broad. So I'm going to ask those, and then we will hit Elk's segments, and then we'll do viewer questions, and then we can have like last minute comments. So the first question that I have is, do you still talk to anyone from your season?
Do I still talk to anyone from my season? I do. I do somewhat talk to Gold. I don't really talk to anyone else because I recommended Gold this anime that he should watch. Gold, watch it. Anyway, we talked yesterday about like, what did we talk about? Holy crap. What was it yesterday or like 2 days ago? Because it's technically 2 a.m. So, let's see. Oh yeah, so Gold went in my DMs and said, Malak, I watched all your video confessionals finally, and I loved them. I was like, oh shoot. And then Gold was like, you should be a podcaster or something. I was like, yeah, maybe I should. And then yeah, we just started talking, and then we kind of started talking about anime and like this upcoming season, like this upcoming season's second chances. That's the theme of next season. And yeah, we were kind of talking about that, and then we wish each other luck, like casting wise, like getting into next season, and then yeah. So Gold, nobody else. I'm gonna keep it real. After the season ended, I was like, oh well, that was a lot of strategizing. Maybe I should just like chill for now, because like my brain was like clockwork. Like no one saw it because I'm not gonna be a strategical threat to these people, but my brain was always thinking like to the next tribal, and the next tribal, and the next tribal. How am I gonna weasel my except for the final 5? But yeah. So yeah, I would say Gold and nobody else, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It's cool.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, Gold is an icon, so I don't blame you for talking to Gold, So the next question is, you have played like large/popular orgs before in the past. Have you played like smaller orgs?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel like there's a difference between playing a large org versus a small org? And this can be a difference in literally anything.
The difference is, I would say, production value, and there's more on the line. Well, we were quite literally playing for money. I didn't even realize we were playing for money until like halfway to the game, and then I started to actually try. I think there was an actual
There
confessional on
was.
that. I was like, wait, we're playing for $1 million. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try a little harder because I was trying at the start, and then I kind of, went to the background because I didn't want to be a threat. But I didn't know we were playing for $100. I was like, oh wait, I like money. And so like yeah. Also there's a little bit more pressure to do well, obviously, because you have a lot of spectators. The spectators are talking about you, the hosts are talking about you. So you don't want to like play like an idiot. And even if you do, I mean, it provides entertainment value, to be fair. So um I would say that's a difference, the production value, and there is a little bit more pressure, but it's not like overwhelming pressure. It's just like, more pressure to do better. And I mean, yeah, that definitely kicked us. That definitely was on our mind, us playing the game, because we were like, I wonder how the spectators think of me. I'm like, they probably think of you just fine. Relax. But yeah, I would say that.
Okay. And then finally, this was a very like taxing, my dog might start barking, but this was a very like taxing season. It was a very intense season, even though you managed to stay out of basically all of that. Just playing on such an intense game with like so much strategy and like some of the best players, like that can definitely impact people. And maybe it didn't impact you, but like, can you talk on mental health during the game?
Okay, so I mean, as far as mental health goes, I was literally chilling because I knew, although, so actually going back to your piggybacking after your last off your last question. Uh, so there was a little bit more pressure to do well, which is fine, honestly. Kind of a breath of fresh air because with the smaller orgs, it's like I'm gonna try and do well and win, but like I'm not gonna take it seriously. I was literally doing video comps like nearly, not every tribal, but like some of these tribals. I was like, I was actually like kind of invested. So good on you, hosting team. But yeah, I was pretty much invested. Everyone was active, and everyone was just talking strategy, and people were botting left to right. I felt like I was a part of the actual show. And I was like, man, these people are very smart and intelligent. How the hell am I gonna outwit, outlast, and outplay them? And so I took a step back and I was like, okay, let me just think. Everyone wants to win. Let me just try a strategy where I'm outplaying them, but they don't realize it. And so I kind of, oh, I kind of get far. She muted herself. I kind of get farther in the game. So it didn't, it didn't hurt me that bad. I was chilling mentally. Like I was basically fine. Um, and yeah, I mean, the only bad part was like me staying up really late to do video comps. I remember one time I had work in the morning, like a AM shift, but it was like 6:30 in the morning. I was recording a video confessional because that's how invested I was in the game. But yeah, it literally wasn't that bad. It was basically a breeze. So
Wow.
yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Oh my gosh, I bet work was fucking miserable that day. But
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a Starbucks right next to my job. Best believe I went to that Starbucks, and on my lunch break, I can't tell if I fell asleep with my eyes open or
oh my
something.
god.
But I didn't text anyone. Like I wasn't texting. I usually don't. I usually talk to people throughout my day, like throughout work. If I'm just chilling, like with the contestants, so I build more trust with them. I didn't text anyone. Like, dude, I was like out of it. I was like, this was not a good idea. Luckily, I only worked the morning shift, and then I got home and got a nice 3-hour nap. So yeah, but yeah, other than that, I was chilling.
Yeah. Okay. That I mean, as long as you were chilling, that's all that we care about.
Yeah,
So
completely fine.
okay. So with that, that wraps up all the questions that I had. We can move into Elk's segments.
Right, so our first segment here, just gonna use these to give some broad overviews across the season. Were there any of the challenges in either the tribal challenges or the post-merge challenges that really stood out to you from this season as like things that you particularly enjoyed?
I did like the challenge where we had to go through the wiki and like I think we had to compare statements or something like that. Yeah, but I've never seen that challenge before, and using the wiki as a challenge was actually pretty cool and unique. So that was pretty cool of you guys to do. And I was like, wow, I've never seen this challenge before. And then you guys didn't. Besides greed, which greed is completely fine. I think greed should be nearly every org. It wasn't like make a flag challenge and stuff like that. Stuff we've seen a lot, which is fine. I don't really. It's not about that. It's just that it makes the more unique the challenge is, obviously, the more original and unique and fresh the org will be. So I kind of liked how the only original challenge you guys used, which is one of the better challenges, is greed, and they even really do much. So, but yeah, the challenges were pretty good, but the wiki challenges where you have to go into the wiki and match player statements was very fantastic. I did like that one.
Right. From there, we'll go then next to the players, other than our winner, this season that you were most impressed by. Give us 2 to 3 names of your fellow contestants who impressed you the most with their gameplay.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna say Gold, not because of favoritism, because he did play. He kind of played like me, but his threat management wasn't like me. So he was very social. He got along with everyone. The only difference is he didn't instigate like myself. you know. Um, he was on top of the votes, with the exception of the Ginger Snap blindside. He was on top of the votes. People liked him. He was in a pretty good spot in the majority. The only problem is the alliance making. Like, I had a feeling he was making these alliances because he actually made the alliance with myself, Ellie, and Tig.
Oh,
And he also made the alliance with myself, EA Sean, and me around like the final 8 or 7. And I was like, huh, this guy is usually making the alliances. I'm gonna keep that in my mind, and he might become a threat later on, and which is what happened. Zapanese completely blew up his game, and I was laughing my ass off. Holy crap! But yeah, if his game wasn't blown up, he wins the game. Like literally, he wins the game. I'm gonna keep it real. I knew how everyone was playing except for Gold, because I knew EA Sean was like very social. Like he wasn't per se like calling the shots. Myself and EA Sean were always like talking and stuff like that. But I knew if I were to sit next to him, I wouldn't really win. But at the same time, I know people are going to think he's a threat and not me. So, with that being said, I think Gold was a very, very strong competitor, and he was extremely good socially, and yeah. So, number one's Gold. Number two. Jesus. Because I played with like 23 other people, so it's kind of weird. So I'm gonna say Disc. I'm actually gonna say Disc. A little bit weird because he did go out the pre-merge, but he wasn't afraid to make moves. He tried to get rid of Zap, which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even attend that tribal. Obviously, I was on the other team or one of the other teams, and I thought the move was gonna work because he was always like, "Hey, we're gonna do this. I got your back. I'm gonna help you move forward," stuff like that. And I do think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty admirable trait. And I thought he was gonna vote off Zap, and I thought Gold was gonna vote off Zap as well, but that is not what happened. Disc got voted off because I was working with Disc, and I actually genuinely liked him as a person. I was working with Chris and Disc a little loosely to move forward with them myself in the game, and he did get voted off, but I think it was very cool of him to go after the very big threat that was controlling the votes in the pre-merge section of the game, when they lost a challenge. So I thought that was pretty cool. And honestly, if he gets to the merge, even if he was in the minority, I know for a fact he would have gone far. Like final 7 minimum. Final 7. He would have easily reached the final 7 and caused some major damage. And yeah, so I'm gonna say Disc for number 2. Number 3. Okay. Um Number 3. Wow. Huh. I guess I'll do someone from the merge. Uh I'll do Damn, this is kind of hard. I would say Tig. I'm gonna say Tig, and the reason why is because literally, first off, probably the most unlucky elimination ever. Uh, he was. If that live tribal didn't happen, he was chilling, literally chilling, because Zap and Izzy had really no incentive to play that. What's it called? Or no, Zap didn't have any incentive to play the fire making idol until she took off the necklace. It gave it a chip. So he kind of just got unlucky because Zap was like, "We should keep Billy as a shield because he's very strategical." And I was like, "Whatever. I'm just gonna cast my vote for you. I don't care what you're saying because I actually like Tig." And so, yeah, I think he just got really unlucky because that he just got idled out. And well, actually, it was a fire making idol.
Mhm.
We all knew Zap had something because it's Zap. Like, dude, obviously she has something. Like, come on now. And she did have something, so we all just kind of piled up the votes on Zap, and then it kind of forced her to play her hand and use the idol at the final 10 live tribal, and then it was a fire making idol. As soon as she played that, it wasn't even just a normal idol; it was a fire making idol. As soon as she played that, I was like, "GG's, Tig. See you later. Sayonara. Bye. Sorry. Bad luck. Bad luck. Bad luck." I was like, "Dude, there's no way you're that unlucky. No way." Cause soon, like, dude, it's like the Hulk trying to pick up like dumbbells. Like he's gonna pick it up. It's like, come on. Although Tig was only like I think like 4 minutes off of being Zap, we all knew Zap was gonna win that fire making challenge against Tig. Like, dude, come on now. That's why I didn't want to go against Fire against Zap at the final four. I mean, it would have most likely been 3-1 anyway. So, but yeah. Other than that, he was very social, pretty good. A lot of people trusted him in a pretty comfortable in the actually in the top section of the majority, like the Ellie, Tig, Gold, myself, EA Sean, AU Sean, in a pretty prime position with Ellie at the top. But he quite literally he didn't even slip up. I actually don't even think he slipped up. He only got targeted because Ellie was a bigger threat, which is kind of backwards thinking, but it made sense and because this was when having shields actually helped your game instead of harmed them, like, in the later stages of the game. So that's why Zap most likely targeted Tig, and that's why he got ninth. And it sucks because I liked him, and I did enjoy some talking late at night. So yeah, I think he was a very underrated player. He was very smart and intuitive, and uh, if he got farther, I think he would have wiggled his way to the final tribal council. Actually, like genuinely, because people didn't think he was a threat. People actually trusted him. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Tig played very well. It's just he got very unlucky, and that's how he got voted off. Not even voted off, actually. Idled out. So, yeah.
One of the
So,
ways we talked about the fire making idol during like the preseason planning for it is, if we think about like the 50-50 coin idol from Winners at War where they flip the coin,
yeah,
only here like so it either works or it doesn't depending on the flip of a coin. But like instead of it being a coin, it's fire
it's
making.
challenge.
So
Yeah.
so if you win the fire making, you've played an idol, and if you lose the fire making, you failed an idol. But then it has the actual backfire clause where the fire making still has to happen, even if the person who played it got the second most votes, the fire making would still happen. So it has like a slightly extra risk of backfire.
Yeah. It was just unlucky that Zap found that, right? Like, it wasn't transferred to her? Or am I wrong?
Correct.
Okay. It was just unfortunate that the person who was the best in challenges literally got a fire making idol and then he got targeted. It was a little comedic, but I did actually feel bad. So, yeah, that's why I say Tig.
Moving from there to our next segment is people who you appreciated for their personality or character throughout the season. Again, we're looking for like 2 or 3 other people that you met this season whose personality and character you really enjoyed getting to play with.
Got you. So, personality wise, I'm going to say EA Sean. We did work together the entire game, actually. Besides we casted my vote for him at the final 13. Whoopsies, but oh well. He was just very fun to talk to. I love talking to him. That's why we worked together so well. We always kept each other informed. We were playing the middle. Uh, just a just a good kid. Why did I say kid? I'm one of the younger people in the cast, but just a good person. So yeah, gonna say EA Sean for that. And then personality wise. So for number 2, I'm going to say huh. Let's see. I'm just thinking between like I would say Chip, but she yelled at me. Personality. I'm gonna actually say Alex. Very smart, intuitive, pretty chill. Well, very paranoid. Very paranoid. He was like, dude, I think the vote's me. I'm like, just relax, just chill. Come on. Like, come on. You got it, just chillax. But when he wasn't paranoid, he was very fun to talk to, and I did enjoy his presence. Unfortunately, I had to backstab him in the final 11 to get a better position in the game. But I did slightly feel bad. I usually don't feel bad about backstabbing people. I was like, man, uh, Alex, really, really. That's why I wanted to do Izzy at the final 11. I just liked Alex more, but they didn't want to do Izzy. But yeah. So I'm gonna say Alex, and then for number 3, I'm going to say this is. I'm gonna say Joey Psych. I'm going to actually say it might be. It's kind of a toss up between
W.
Jack and Cyphercon. Nah, I'd say Cyphercon was pretty underrated. Game wise and personality wise. Literally, if I didn't frame him for fucking overplaying, he would have gone very far. I promise you that. So I do feel bad, but he was a joy to talk to. We've talked about Pokemon, and he was actually very excited about talking about Pokemon. I didn't even like Pokemon too much, but the new Pokemon. This was around like when the new Pokemon game like just came out, so we were like just talking about that, even though we had Tribal and all of our decks were on the line, and he was very interested in the combo and. Yeah, so I'm gonna say Syphacon. Syphacon. Very, very good person. And I wish I could say more, but to be fair, I only met him at one tribal. But he did make a very good impression on me. I actually really want to work with him very far into the game. But he got voted off. Like, literally the next episode. So, um, yeah, so those are my
We
3.
have we have one more of these segments still to go, but before we go into that segment, I actually just want to touch on something there because you mentioned again that first tribal, and I'm
Yes.
curious if you hadn't gone to the first tribal, if you'd been immune in that first challenge, do you think that you and Joey would have had a good working relationship throughout this game? Like if you
Nope.
didn't get in the spot episode 1 where you
Nope.
had to get rid of him?
Nope. Here's why. It's just their personalities don't mix. If you're no offense to Joey, like literally you're not it's not like you're a terrible person. It's just like this is where I was a little jealous of the other partners. The other partners had someone who or like the other people, the other duos. Yeah, the other duos. The other duos, I think they were bonding. Like Zap and Izzy were like basically married, and then we have Ellie and Tig were pretty cool, like pretty cool. Ginger Snap and Gold also pretty tight. And I'm just like, wow. When I think about it, my partner was kind of a we didn't really get along. I just didn't feel a connection. I didn't feel a click. It's so that's kind of why I played a little more villainous as the game progressed. I just started just stabbing people in the back. I mean, even if Tig survived that fire making idol, I was gonna stab him in the back later to weaken Ellie. Just keep. So yeah, I mean, if he had survived, if we were immune from that first vote, I would use. Wow, this is gonna sound really bad. I would use him as a number because he's my partner and he benefits me because we have the advantage of talking with each other, even if we're not in the same tribe, to get information from other players and yada yada yada. So it would benefit me. But at the same time, I signed up. I signed up playing for myself. So yeah. So Yeah, it probably would not have worked out. And honestly, even if Joey had survived, he probably would have gotten voted off pre-merge anyway. I just had a gut feeling it was gonna happen sooner rather than later, and I did it very, 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 very soon. So yeah.
All right, and our last one, we have the moments. So we're going to look for 3 moments here. I want one moment from the season that surprised you, one moment that made you happy, and one moment that made you laugh from over the course of the season.
Well, the one that made me laugh, you guys already know what I'm gonna say. When Zap basically called AU Sean a goat, but like she didn't say he was a goat. And then he just exposes his entire game for no reason. And so I literally remember I was looking at the chat. Everyone just went silent after he did that for like a good minute or two. And then I was in my comps like, what the fuck is wrong? Why? What are you doing? I need you. You can't do that. No, you need to relax. You need to relax. I was just like, dude, I, I I'm glad you're I'm glad you think you're not a bad player because you're not, but you don't announce it in a not even a normal tribal. It was a live tribal where I couldn't even calm them down because I didn't want people thinking we were working together because we're working together like a little like in the background. I didn't want it to be obvious, but like, dude, you don't do that. Man. But yeah, the moment that shocked me was the whole. So this was actually after the Alex elimination, 7-4, and then Lisa and Chip just go at it for no reason at all. Like literally, out of anyone, Lisa or Chip could have been mad at. She was mad at Lisa, and I was just saying there like, well, I'm a little shocked that you weren't mad at me because I was in your circle. You know, I was kind of in your little inner circle of myself and Alex, and I kind of stabbed him in the back. Surprised you're not yelling at me, but I just stood there and just shut my mouth, and then it got heated, and then Lisa and Chip just kept going back and forth, and I was just staring at the chat like, wow, this is just stupid, because they were just arguing over nothing. Like, I don't know. There was like no logical reason to like make an argument, but it was funny for you guys because you guys are production members. I assume it was very funny for you guys. I was just like, bruh, Lisa, don't do this. I need you. I need you. Don't do this. Stop. I didn't go to her DMs because, honestly, when I think about it, if they don't click, and I need Chip later on in the game for a vote, I could be like, hey Chip, we could leave Lisa have a vote or vote off Lisa because honestly, Lisa was not a threat per se, but if she got to the end, I feel like she would have won the game. But yeah, so I didn't want to stop it, but it was very shocking because I didn't think it was gonna happen. Because after the blind side, I was just chilling in my bed. Then I got a notification in the tribe chat. I was like, okay, it got opened. I was like, wait, what are you doing? What was Chip doing? And then she went off on Lisa, and then yeah, that was a little shocking to me because I didn't think that was gonna happen. I knew she was quite the spark, but I really didn't think she was gonna go off on Lisa like that. It didn't like they were roasting each other really bad. Like I think Chip like called her heartless or something, and I went to my comps and I was like, "Oop, log off. She's getting you." But yeah, that was pretty shocking. Um, what was the other question?
One that made you
Actually,
happy, a moment from the
one
season
that
that
made
made
me
you happy.
one that made me happy. Ah, well. Honestly, making it to the final four. It's a 24-person org, and everyone was active. Like even the people who were quote unquote inactive weren't really inactive. They were just somewhat dry. So making it all the way to fourth place, that was I felt a little proud of myself. So sorry for the boring answer, but yeah, getting all the way to the final four made me happy.
No, that's not a
All
boring
right.
answer. That was
Wow.
sweet. That was so
Yeah.
sweet.
But because I'm not gonna lie, going into this and then seeing all these great I actually didn't know besides Zap because I saw Zap playing Neb Viver and I also played a Neb Viver. It didn't go so well. But I also played a Neb Viver. and I knew Gold from another org. Those were the only two people I knew. I didn't know anyone else, and everyone else was active. So I was like doubting myself, like, man, I might get voted off pre-merge. These people are A, they're cool. B, I'm gonna assume they're very strategic, and they were. But if you just take a step back and you just believe in yourself, you could go very far into an org, and that kind of applies to real life. If you just take a step back, calm yourself, and just have confidence, you can really do anything. I mean, I got 4th place at a 24th. My partner got 24th, and I got 4th. So, I was very proud of myself making it that far into the game.
Oh, that was so deep and inspirational. Like, that was so sweet.
Anyway, I'm the villain. Anyway, next
Villain
question.
with a heart of.
Alrighty. Now time for Ashley to go ahead and start bringing in our viewer questions.
Yes. So
Oh boy.
yeah,
Oh
you
no.
have to answer for your sins. So,
Oh no.
we do have a couple of questions that were asked during the show, but I'll go ahead and let people who are actively listening ask questions, and then I'll ask those questions at the end, just because it is late, and I'm sure people might want to go to sleep. So if they want to get their questions out now.
Okay.
So just give it a second while it. I was gonna say low.
All good.
Uni wants to know, who's your favorite Disney villain since you were villain of the season?
Who is my favorite Disney villain? Well, that does sound like a uni question, so um I like Hades from Hercules. Definitely, dude, he's so funny. I just liked how he's meddling with Hercules the entire movie. So yeah, I'm gonna say Hercules for favorite Disney villain.
Hercules isn't the villain, but Hades, yeah.
Oh no, Hades.
Yeah.
Hades. Hercules is the hero. Hades. Yep.
Right. Okay. Up next,
I know this is the last second.
you're good. Up next, we have a question from AU Sean. And this is, did you think you could beat me at FTC in a final 2?
You know what? I would say yes, and here's why. The reason why I thought I could beat you, you honestly, you weren't that good at communicating with people. People found you shady as hell, to be fair. And that's why when I told people to leave you out the final 7 vote, they were like, okay, done deal. Because nobody really trusted you, and you really didn't bond with your, what's it called? You didn't really bond with your trimates too much at the caliber I was doing. So people kind of trusted me over you, and people kind of saw you as a number in a way. In fact, many people talked about it. Like, even with the Alex vote, they were kind of like, hey, I think AU Sean would be like a good number. I mean, yeah. Any possibility of one of you guys getting AU Sean? I'm like, yeah, I think I can do that. And then like Alex was even talking about like, I think Zap and Izzy are just using AU Sean for a vote at this point. I'm like, it's a possibility. But yeah. So I feel like strategically you were doing pretty well, AU Sean, but socially, let's be frank, I was doing a little better on top of the votes. And I felt like in a popularity contest, I think people would kind of like me more because I would talk about, stuff related. Like I would just talk about random stuff with people and it would make them laugh. And yeah, so it was definitely, I feel like a 50-50. But if I were to get to the final tribal council with you, I would be pretty confident because I would, answer the questions, just do a very pretty good job. And I think I could have beat you at the end. No offense. You did play a very good game though, but I think socially I was just a little better, just a little better because a lot of people even if they knew I was working with you, they were like, "Hey man, you Sean really doesn't talk to me. How am I gonna trust him?" I'm just like, don't worry. It's just kind of his thing. Just don't worry. He's trustworthy-ish. Just yeah, like literally Lisa did it with me. I'm like, don't worry. It's just him. It's cool. So yeah, socially I think it was better, but strategically we were kind of the same on par. You did very well doing the double agent stunt with Zap and Izzy getting information so that we could use it moving forward into the merge. But yeah, I do think I had a pretty good chance of defeating you in the final tribal council.
All right. So no other questions from current listeners came in. So if you all want to ask any questions, feel free. I'll move on to the questions that were asked earlier. So Zap asks, why did you not address me at FTC questioning at all?
Did I? Did I not? I don't remember. I'm gonna keep it real. I feel like I kind of want to address Izzy more because, you know, she didn't per se leave a sour taste in my mouth. But I was like, well, we were kind of being an ass towards each other towards the end of the game. Just kind of want to address that. It's not like I'm not gonna vote for you because I'm usually not bitter. Like literally, even if like you're an ass to me, if you still get to the end and you played a good game, I'm gonna vote for you to win. Like it doesn't matter. But to be fair, a lot of people were kind of addressing, you in the questions anyway. And I honestly didn't really have a question to ask you. I felt like I knew your game pretty decently. So on top of that, a lot of people were asking questions anyway, so I actually didn't really have any questions to ask you. So yeah. L on the other hand had a lot of questions to ask you, so yeah. But yeah, that's my response to that.
Okay. Up next, we have another question from Uni, and it is, what were your FTC plans? Who did you think you wanted in the end with you?
So, if it came down to it, I was fine with going to the FTC with Zap, but me personally, I would prefer to go to the FTC with AU Sean. I mean, I already kind of discussed why, like the last two questions on how I thought I could beat him. Because he just wasn't really communicating with people. He didn't per se rub people the wrong way, but people were a lot more distant with him. They just didn't really trust him with withholding information because people knew he kind of just told people stuff. Like he would just tell me and EA Sean stuff like it was nothing. It was like, hey guys, this really cool Chris Blindside's happening. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't have to do anything, but thanks for the info. Because the alliance that he made with myself and EA Sean at the Ricey vote. So a lot of people just didn't trust him, stuff like that. So if I were to win the final immunity challenge, which wasn't gonna happen, holy crap, I would have taken him. And yeah, but if I had to go with Zap, so be it. I didn't want to go with Izzy, and Zap would have to vote off AU Sean, but I'm pretty sure Zap, I don't know. I would assume Zap would vote me off. I don't know. But yeah, at the final three, if Izzy were to go at the final four, but I don't know. So yeah, I would say I wanted AU Sean, the final tribal council with me, even though I kind of wanted him gone because I just thought he was just shady. But I knew he was playing for my side. But at the same time, when you're making final five deals with 6 people, and people are kind of telling me about it, it raises my eyebrow a little bit. But yeah, I would have brought Sean with me to the final tribal council.
Okay, very interesting, but also not surprising. Like based on everything you've said tonight, like no, not in a bad way. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Also, we've been playing the game with each other the entire time, like literally. So, with the exception of the L vote, we voted together the entire time, and I actually had a little soft spot for him, I guess. So I wanted to take him to the end, and he wanted to take me to the end, which was obviously bullshit because Izzy kind of worked with him, and yeah, so that didn't happen. But it is what it is. So yeah, that's my response.
Yeah. Okay. So the final question that I have here is from Ginger. It is, well, it's 2 questions actually. It's, why do you hate me, and why do you only like water as a drink?
Hey, Ginger, I do not hate you. The only person I hate is Joe. I don't even hate Joey, in fact. But so actually, out of anyone I trash talked the most in my comps, it was probably Ginger. So I can see why I asked that question. So around the final 13 and final 12, I'm not gonna lie, you were super duper quadruple. Like, imagine AU Sean times 10. You were shady with me for no reason. I was like freaking out. I was like, is he okay? Like, he would just, like, Alex and Chip even brought up this concern with me. What, like, you would just tell people what they wanted to hear. Like, oh, I don't know who the vote is. Maybe we should vote with the majority. I'm like, wow, really? And it's like, it, when I talked game with you, it didn't get anywhere. Like, I kind of just wanted you gone, if I'm gonna be blunt. And yeah, so everyone kind of came together to vote you off, and I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of, voted you off because of that. I don't know. I just felt like if I were to go more forward with you, you wouldn't really benefit me in any way, shape, or form. I didn't really know where your head was at. And yeah, but don't worry, I do not hate you, trust me. I did enjoy your Dead by Daylight talks. I actually kind of want to get the game. So yeah, but I do not hate you. It's just that on a game standpoint, we just didn't mix, and everyone was kind of get Dead by Daylight. Okay, everyone was just kind of talking about how you were just being sporadic in a way, like you were throwing out names, which even if that was true or wasn't true, I just didn't want you here, so I kind of wanted to get you out. Like, I don't think I was the first person to say your name at the final 12. I could have been, but I don't know for sure. I just went to Ellie and Tig,
Oh,
or Tig, hey, vote off Ginger, please do it, just do it. So yeah, that's why we didn't mix. But yeah. Your other question was why do you only like water? Uh, Water's just great. Like, imagine you're super thirsty, you just need to drink water. It is a very good feeling. Like, let's see, what else? Let's see what other drink I like. I mean, I like Sprite, but that would be it. And iced coffee. But other than that, those are the only three drinks I like. Uh, Nothing else really. So yeah, that's my answer to that.
okay. We did get one more question in. It's a little shady. It's from Tig. And it
Oh boy.
is, did your grandma's cookies taste good?
They did. They were delicious. Um, Butter pecan is a very, very, very good cookie taste. Very good cookie flavor. So yes, they did taste wonderful at the Christmas party. So thank you for the question. And luckily, the whole grandma. If anyone like references the grandma thing, it doesn't get under my skin because again, as I said, I kind of came here to play the win. So like, if you keep bringing it up, I won't really care because I don't regret like the whole grandma thing. I don't really regret it actually because I came here to win. It is what it is. I didn't win, but I think I did pretty well in the game. But yeah, they did taste good. Um, any other questions? You guys can ask me anything you want. I mean, doesn't matter to me.
Also, Malachi, I don't think anyone like brings up the grandma thing maliciously. Like, I think everyone thinks it was pretty funny overall.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
Just to make sure, like, I don't want you to feel like you're being attacked or anything.
No. It's completely fine. I was just like, man. If I were to get in another season, then the whole grandma thing, I'm just gonna have a big target on my back, which honestly, don't even care because I'm still gonna play the same way. So, yeah. Oh, I got a question actually. What's your favorite anime? Great question. So, um, boring answer, but I might go with Naruto as my first ever anime. My brother introduced it to me when we were, little kids, introduced me to Naruto, and it was literally so cool. Like just ninjas fighting, characters were great. First ever anime. I had a manga collection of it, but I sold it. Yeah, I would say Naruto. Yeah, Naruto. I'm gonna say Naruto. As of right now, I'm actually watching My Hero Academia. It's pretty good. But yeah, Naruto for right now. It's my favorite anime.
All right. And with that, I think that wraps up this interview. Thank you so much for,
I like talking about myself. I'm joking.
I don't blame you. You're so fun to listen to talk about yourself. you're great at it. You did so good. Thank you so much for meeting up with us to do this interview. It was, like I said a million times, it was wonderful getting to hear more about my dog's barking in, but it was wonderful getting to hear your game, and so sorry. And so yeah, it was just really insightful, and I learned a lot. So thank you for that. And with that, we will be doing. Oh my gosh, so I'm reading all the messages. So we will be doing an interview with EA Sean at 8:30 p.m. EST tomorrow. And then following that, we will be doing an interview with AU Sean. So we'll be double Seaning it tomorrow. And yeah, so you can check us out generally every Friday. And I think that's all that I have to say. This has been Ashley, and we've had with us today.
Oh.
And
Malachi, the villain of the season.
Yeah. So thank you, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.